let's go inside.
Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make one of these, a little cup or bowl, peanuts or whatever. I'm going to show you how to get this pattern pyrography pen to, you know, there's probably 3,000 bloody little dots in here, you know. But I've got a piece here already on the lathe, screwed up. I'm going to show you how to make the cup, and then we'll get on to the pattern and I'll show you how I burn it in. So first off, this is Tawa, and it has some cracks in it during drying, and that's sort of why I went about doing something like this. And you can sort of see the small crack here. But basically all I've done is put super glue down the cracks. There's one here, there's a little one there. Yeah, that's the main one, there's one little one there too. But you won't notice the cracks once you do all this nonsense. There are some cracks on this one. I struggle even to find them myself. There's one down here. There's a few down around on the bottom. But anyways, I'll get on to shaping this. What I'll do first is I'll put a tenon on the side, and then I'll put the chuck on. I'll flip it around, and then that way I can do the inside of the bowl first. I'll shape most of the outside with the tenon on, and then I'll just part it off. Then I'll flip it around, and then I'll put it in probably my cold jaws to do all the marking and finish the bottom. Alright, we'll get into it. Alright, tenon on here, mate. Now just on those cracks, I'm just going to put a little bit more super glue just to make sure that they go down. So I've got you pulled around now. You can probably see the cracks maybe a little bit better here. This one up here, this one you can see the super glue going through it. And this one here too. And there's some very fine ones you can't even see. But so I've got the glue in there now, so hopefully those are all stuck together. And I'll just hollow this out. If you haven't seen one of these before, I'd recommend going watching my video. It shows you how to sharpen and how to use it. But basically these are used for end grain. That's its trick, to hollow out the end grain and get a very smooth finish with no tear out. And basically you have your tool rest at centre, and you come in, don't come in like this, you'll break the tool. Come in straight on, tilt 15 degrees, and then go this way and the shaving will just start. And the more you go this way, the heavier the cut is going to be. Also, the more you twist up, the heavier the cut. About 15 degrees, tilt in a little bit, and then find your bevel, rub your bevel for the 90 degrees and out. Alright. sawdust all over it. Just to set the glue off. It's fine on the down cut, it's where the grain's coming over. So let's glue that again. I'll come back once I've got this crack sorted. Alright, so I've got those cracks fixed now. I sanded it up to 600 grit. Now I'm just going to beeswax, and I'm just going to use one of these cloths to burnish it in. So yeah, you can see the cracks there. Not too noticeable. I mean, once I do the outside, you're never really going to notice those little cracks in there, you know. Alright, we'll get you resituated and we'll come around here and we'll make the bowl shape and part off. Alright, we're just going to measure the inside, so it's about here on the finger. So there's about the bottom. Yeah, sorry about the rain. I'll try and speak up. So I'll just fill these gaps up with super glue just before I get too far. It doesn't really matter if it stains the wood too much, but just don't want it flying apart on me. Alright, got that sanded to 600 grit. Now I'm just going to tight this off and then I'll flip it around. So here we go, got the cold chucks on. Fits on there nicely. This is why I sanded that bit first, before I pulled it off. Alright, got the ends cleaned off, now I'll just sand that up. So when it comes to the indexing, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a little platform that you can stick into your banjo. And you're going to need it so it's at halfway with a pencil. And the other thing you're going to need is you're also going to need an indexing pin. So you just a magnet switch goes down here. And then line it up with one of the holes. And that's our indexing. So now all I have to do is pull this little rivet out. I'm just using this as a pin. And that's it. Alright, we'll go around the other side. We'll go around the other side and I'll show you how to lay out all the lines. Alright, laying out for this pattern. Now I don't actually have hexagons or pentagons on the bottom. I've just got a round circle of just little squares and triangles. That's just so I can keep that edge there free from all the pyrography, just so there's a nice edge there that's not going to get damaged from just sitting down. So the first thing you need to do is you mark that circle at the bottom of the butt of the arm, and then what you need to do is you need to select the first pin, select a hole. Now on this pattern in this chuck I use all the holes, every single one. So you just pull that pin out, put it in the next hole, and mark all the lines. So yeah, now you got all the horizontal lines coming through. You can now decide on how big you want your first shape. I'm doing pentagons. You can do a hexagon coming down here. You just got to do another ring in here. But basically, you just got to decide where you want, the sides of your first shape, your pentagon. So this will be the first side, bottom, the other side, and I probably want the top about there. So yeah, so the sides is every second line, and the top will be that one. So we'll just draw a circle on this ring, and then we'll mark the tops out. You go from 2 points, so you skip that middle one, there to there, there to there, there to there. So that's your first shape there, your first pentagon. So as you can see on here, the first shape is a pentagon. So we've got that bottom ring is here, then you just put another ring in there and a dot in the middle. But you can see there the first shape's a pentagon, and then the next one's a hexagon, hexagon, and hexagon. So you can do the first one as a hexagon. You just got to follow that line down there and do that, but I don't want to have this edge as the dotted pyrography. I just want to have it as normal wood so it doesn't get beaten up when it's just sitting down. So yeah, up to you what shape you want to do, but I'm doing it this way. This is my pattern. So pentagon, hexagons afterwards. So I'm just going to draw out all these. We'll come back. I'm just going to draw this first row and then we'll come back. So there you go, I got the first row drawn out. My pentagons, you can see. So this is why it's important to have an even number, because you're using that middle one as the top point, and then there's the edges, and they all need to match up as you go all the way around. Otherwise you're going to end up with just a half one. So the next ring of shapes, next row, it's the same thing really. You just decide where you want your sides to be. I reckon about there, and maybe the top, maybe slightly taller about there. So this is the same thing again, you just join the intersecting lines. So I'm just going to draw this next row out. So there's the next row of hexagons. So we've got pentagons here, and then we've got hexagons, and then we'll do another hexagon. So I'll probably do, same thing again. you just make sure that you're alternating the points. That's the main thing. So you see the top point's there, top point, and then there. Going to go about there, and then I'm just going to pull this out slightly. So yeah, you can just continue these lines through. You don't need the indexing, just match up where the lines are. Alright, so now we've drawn those lines through. Now we can decide on where our side's going to be for this next row. I reckon about there. And then I'm going to make the top pretty much the top rung. And then same thing again. Just join it up and make sure you alternate those points. So there's this side, side, and then this is going to be the top. And that's the next one. So I see we got a pentagon here, then a hexagon, another hexagon, and then we're going to have a bottom little triangle piece. That sorts itself out at the end. So I'm just going to draw the rest of these out, and then we're going to go over to the bench with the pyrography pen. So yeah, you want to raise out all these ring lines, the ones that are going around, but the ones at the bottom here on the pentagons you can leave, because if you look, these lines are going through the pentagon, intersecting it, so you can leave those lines there. It's just less raising out and less marking. But all these other ones, apart from these ones, you can keep all these lines. It's these ones we want to get rid of. So I got those all erased now. Now we've just got the shapes on there. Apart from the bottom row of pentagons, we leave those lines on there. So now the next job is to mark out all the intersecting lines. So basically, what I like to use is I like to use one of these little rulers and bend it around. But basically we're going from point to point, from point to point, and from point to point to get sort of a star shape. So you can see on here, this is the pentagon, and we're going from corner to corners there, from point to point. Just like that, and you do that for all of them, and these are your triangles you basically follow at the end. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this to all of them. It takes a little while, so I'll just cut that out. So yeah, now I've got all these triangles laid out, all these little triangles. We can start the burning process of getting all these dots. So when it comes to it, we're not actually doing the lines, burning the lines, we're coming inside the lines just a little bit, and we're just burning the inside out. See all those lines? We're not actually burning the lines. We're going a couple mils, either 1 or 2 mils. And just a couple of other things I've got going on here. I've got a fan, just a little extractor fan, a little computer fan, just to suck up all the fumes. And that just goes outside through this pipe out there. So if you're wondering what that noise is, it's just that fan going. Other thing, this is my pyrography little drawer. This is the tip I'm going to use. It's just a ball. I think it's a 1mm or a 1.5mm ball, something like that. This is the Razertip unit, and I've got a couple of other pens here. I've got this one here is just a knife for doing straight lines or maybe feathers or something like that. This one's a shader. This one's just like spoon shape, and then this one's like a tongue. sort of for like shading or maybe more writing, getting straight lines and that sort of thing. But I'm just going to use the ball today, and I'm going to use max heat on this, 10. And yeah, just that little ball. Now before you start burning, it's preferable to have some sort of ventilation like this, and also something to practice on before you start burning your actual work. So I've just drawn out some hexagons here, and the pattern we're basically doing is we're just coming inside those lines a little bit, make a little triangle, and then I burn the inside more to get it deeper. But I'm just putting the ball down and pressing it down. I'm not actually dragging it across. I'm pushing in, coming off, pushing in, coming off, pushing in. You can see how much smoke's coming off. That's why I've got the fan. So yeah, basically I just do that until I'm happy with that little section, until it's got a nice depth in it and some texture. And then I move on to the next bit. And yeah, just stay away from those lines. This is a little bit bigger than the pattern I got on there, but that doesn't matter. This is just good to see how the pattern's coming out, gonna come out. So yeah, you could decide, oh, I like that pattern over this pattern and I'll use this one, but I'm gonna use this one because it's gonna hide the cracks more. I like to do the edge first, get the edge marked out. And then I like to go deep on the middle. Get some texture. As you can see, and then you just carry on filling these triangles just by staying away from those lines. Mark out the edges. And you know, in your imagination is your limit really with this, on how close you get to the lines, how deep you go. We'll just carry on for a little bit here. Now you got to push quite hard, and if you find it's not burning, you might just need to let this heat up and burn the resin off or whatever's on the end of this. You do get a little bit of a Tawa, but it does burn. And yeah, you know, this one here I got quite close to the lines. Might go a bit further away on this one. You can always come back if you don't quite like the pattern and close up the lines a bit more, or go deeper. You don't need to be so accurate because, you know, it's sort of an organic pattern, this, you know, sort of natural. So that's like the first pentagon. Well, actually there's two halves of one hexagon. But like I say, it doesn't matter about keeping track of the shapes at the moment. You just need to keep inside the lines and do these triangles, and eventually the pattern will just reveal itself. So this does take quite a while, this burning. It takes a few hours. I think this one took me about 4 or 5 hours just to do the burning. So yeah, depending on your pattern can increase your time. Again, just anchor down with that pinky and the other finger. And obviously if you're right-handed, you're probably doing this in your right hand, but I'm left-handed, so. And you can also use other tools for this as well. You can use burrs. There's a few different types of machines. Some people use dentist drills and that sort of stuff. But you can see the pattern's already sort of coming out. And yeah, some of those dentist burrs and those machines can get quite expensive. I mean, this unit wasn't that cheap either, this pyrography pen, but it's sort of like the Cadillac of burners. I did have some of those cheap little ones you can get from the stores, you know, that are like for soldering and stuff, but they're useless. Get yourself a proper pyrography machine. It doesn't have to be a Razertip. There's a few other ones out there. You could even get a second-hand one. But yeah, get yourself a decent one so you're not wasting time waiting for the tip to heat up. That's basically what you're paying for. And yeah, this will be me for the next 5 hours or so. So I might come back and show you the progress as I go along, but I don't think you guys need to see too much more of that. I think you guys get the idea of how these patterns are made. You can see my lines there are a bit thinner. I might thin this up a bit, come a bit closer to those lines. But I'll come back once I got the pattern done and I'll show you removing the lines and getting it finished. Alright. So now I've got all the pyrography done, all the burning with the pen. I've got a short time lapse there of it. To get rid of all this overburn in some of the pencil lines, all I use is a bit of methylated spirits. You can use probably kerosene, acetone, sort of anything like that, paint thinners, but it's just what I've got. It seems to work. I don't know if you can see there, but it cleans the burn off. I usually just pour straight onto it. Give it a good rub down. You can see how much is coming off. And then what I like to do is I like to give it a quick little sand just to get rid of any of those little pencil lines or overburn lines. So yeah, I'll just quickly sand it with some 600 grit. So yeah, and then if there's any final bits, and like this edge, I just do it by hand. And you can just, if there's any little bits of pencil left, you can just give them a little sand. So here it is all finished, with the overburn of the pencil off. I'm going to take this chuck off and I'm going to put my drill chuck on so I can put my buffing accessories on. The buffing wheel, I'm going to finish one here. So yeah, for the outside I'm just going to use some tung oil. And I'm just going to brush it on there. I like to make sure I get into all those little dots. That's the brushing done. So yeah, I've got the oil soaking in there now. And now I'm just going to use this buffing wheel. It's a cotton wheel. Got flaps here. It's 2 of them side by side. I've got a bit of a comb here just to dress it up, clean it up a little bit. And I'm going to do this at 2000 RPM.
A few moments later.
Change this wheel for a softer one. This is a microfiber. So here they're all done. This is the second one. Got all the overburn gone, the pencil's gone now. So you can see the lines on this first one I did a lot smaller than the second one. It's up to you how you want to do it. Bit of artistic license. Pretty cool though, eh? Let you guys know what you think. If you guys got a pyrograph machine, if you got an indexer, you know, send me an email with pictures of what you've done if you want to. Alright, well that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.